Welcome to Frequency Friday. Okay, so today we're going to talk about frequencies and how your individual frequency can affect everyone around you. Okay, um, a lot of times I hear people saying, well, how can I make a difference? I'm just little old me. Well, you can, and you do it by your frequency. Okay, um, quick example. Have you ever been in like a group setting? Maybe it's a party or something like that, and the vibe is whatever. You're just partying on, not really paying much attention to anybody else around other than the group you're talking with. And then somebody walks in, and you just feel it. Everybody turns and looks, and maybe 20 people came and went through that same door over the last 10 minutes, and nobody paid attention. But one person walks in the door and everybody feels it. Everybody turns and looks, and they're either like, it's either one or the two. It's either, oh dear, here comes trouble, or it's, oh my God, look who's here. And everybody gets excited. Okay. That is a prime example of how an individual's frequency can affect everything around them. All right. Now, how does that work? Well, as you know from if you've been watching it all, the human body has an aura, and it contains multitude of different frequencies depending on the chakra that is lit up or that is magnetizing the most energy. Okay. Now we know that the earth, okay, is what we call ground, but it vibrates at approximately 7.4 hertz. Okay, that is a low vibration. That's why it's called grounding. And our physical body, the root chakra, is the first electrical connection to the ground. Now, it has a vibration of between 0 and we'll say 100. Okay, and then the next chakra is your sacral chakra. So you got root, and then you got sacral. Oh, come on, pen. Okay, and then you got solar plexus. And you got your heart chakra. And you got your throat. Third eye. And the crown. And they all have colors, okay? So like crown, for instance, is violet. Let's say violet. No, actually, that's wrong. Crown chakra is pink. And then the third eye is violet. And then the throat chakra is blue. And then the heart chakra is green. And then the solar plexus is yellow. And then the sacral chakra is orange. And then the root chakra is red. Okay, so, and all of these chakras have different emotions. So whatever emotion that you are feeling at the moment corresponds to whatever chakra that holds that emotion, and therefore radiates that frequency from your body. So if somebody walks into said party or gathering and they are either really heavy in their root chakra, a badass, whatever, or really high vibrational right up in their crown chakra, it usually is a bold difference to what the medium frequency is from the group of people. Okay. So whatever frequency you're holding radiates out from you and becomes part of the medium or average frequency of your surroundings. So when you interact with people at the store, or people at the post office, or when you're getting gas or whatever, your frequency determines what frequency you interact with the other people. So if the other people you're dealing with have a dominant frequency, so like they're really heavy in their emotion, whatever one they're at, their magnetism may be stronger than yours if you're just kind of floating along neutral. So you may interact with people and their frequency actually lifts you up or brings you down. But if you're dominant in a frequency, whichever one, doesn't matter, and you interact with someone, you ultimately either lift them up to that level or bring them down to whatever level. So your frequency has a huge impact on your surroundings. So if you go around, if you're in like third eye and voicing it and throat chakra, so on, and you're interacting with people around you and they're somewhat lower, you're lifting them up. And then when you leave, you've left them in that higher state. And then when they interact with the next person, hopefully it lifts them up also, and so on. So throughout the course of a day, your single interaction or couple of interactions within your community could very well lift up the entire community over the course of a 24-hour of everybody interacting. Okay? So yes, your frequency makes a huge difference. Okay? Have you ever seen the Northern Lights? I'm sure you have. If not in real life, which where I am, I see them quite regularly. But if not in real life, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And you'll see them online in pictures. So the Northern Lights is when all these frequencies come pouring in the top, because the Earth, okay, here's our toroidal field, okay, is around our body. That's our toroidal field. Okay, the Earth has the same toroidal field. So only at the Earth, the frequencies come in at the top and exit out the bottom. So the North Pole is where it all comes in, which is why when we see the Northern Lights, that's why it's called the Northern Lights, because that's where all the energy is pouring in that toroidal field. So what you're seeing in the sky is multitude of colors. Usually it's pinks and purples and blues and greens. Sometimes you get yellows and oranges and reds in the mix too. That usually happens when it's a huge amount of energy that comes in. So the ground is, see these lines? There's a reason I drew these lines, because if nobody is around, and it's like where I'm from, it's the prairies. So there's a lot of vast open space with no interaction. And a lot of times not even really any animal action, because there's nothing to hide in. There's nothing, unless you're a ground animal. But the Earth still radiates that low frequency. And as it goes up through the atmosphere, the frequencies are higher. So that rainbow you see when it's raining, that is the light or the water reflecting off of, depending on what you believe, either the firmament or the ozone layer, whatever, it's still a cap. And that is trapping all of these frequencies within the Earth's atmosphere. Now, a rainbow is the water reflecting all those frequencies so that you can actually see them as colors. All the colors of the rainbow. Right there. Okay? So we don't see it normally looking out to the field or whatever unless we see a rainbow. Or sometimes when you got the garden hose going, you can see it and you'll see all the colors of the rainbow. And that's because most of them are human height or average human height if there's no humans around. Okay? And as we come into spaces, our field, our chakras connect up to those, and just everything becomes fluid. So when more than one person, a multitude of people gather, then that changes that aura, because say you got 2 or 3 people and one person is in their heart space and another person is in their root space and another it depends on where the medium is, which one of these is a bigger, a more prominent, dominant frequency. And that's why when you're around people enough, it tends to level out to what the average frequency is of everybody. So when you raise your frequency and interact with your community, you are automatically raising that frequency within your community. So you don't have to physically do stuff except interact. And even that, like I said at the beginning, somebody walks in the door, they haven't even said a word yet, but everybody turns and looks and they observe and they react to whether that's a high frequency coming in or a low frequency coming in. But they definitely feel and recognize the difference. There is a bold difference of what the average frequency is in the room to whatever frequency is walking in the door. And that is proof right there that even one single individual, yourself, can make a difference to a whole community of people, whether that community is just a family gathering or whether that community is literally your community. Your interactions, your intentional holding of a higher vibration before you go and interact literally can affect the overall vibration of that community. And so I don't know what else to say about that. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So you, as an individual, absolutely can do something about your community without having to invest money or having to go and volunteer a bunch of time at whatever group. I mean, all those things are great too. But if you can't do those things, you can always intentionally find a higher vibration within you and then interact with your community. And by those interactions, you will lift the vibration of everybody else you interact with. So you can make a difference. And you do make a difference. Whether you realize it or not, you're already doing that. All I'm saying is if before you interact, if you purposely choose what vibration that you wish your community was in, you can choose that within yourself before you enter that community. Like I said, whether it's your family, that community, or maybe hockey club, or darts, or bowling, or the entire community. It doesn't matter. Wherever you're going to interact with other people, before you go, do some exercise. If you're not already in a high vibe, happy-go-lucky, excited, if you're not already there, find something. Watch some pet videos on TV or something that are really funny. Something to get you happy and feeling good. And then interact with whatever community you're going to visit with. and you will literally change the vibration within that community. And if we're all doing that, guess what? Our communities become very high vibrational. And from that higher vibrational state of being, then those people that do decision making and so on within our communities, if they're at a higher vibration when they make those decisions, then that's going to be a better situation for everybody. If they're in the lower vibrations when they make these decisions, because everybody's down and everybody's, those decisions are not going to help the community in any way. All right? So hopefully that gave you a little bit of an idea on how you as an individual absolutely can make a difference in the world and your community. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.